Welcome. I'm so glad and thrilled to be with you over the next 7 days as we practice together what it is to free our minds. In freeing our minds, we bring ourselves into a place of tremendous present moment awareness. Basically, when we are entranced by all of our mental busy stories, we're missing this very alive, direct experience of the world and also of yourself. But as you already know, this mind can be very aggressive, constantly captivating us, constantly filtering information. So how do we free ourselves? How do we liberate ourselves from this? Well, over the last few years, I've worked with a lot of people worldwide, and this is the most powerful and quickest process that I know. So I'm glad you're joining us, and let's start here on day one. So to begin with, let's talk about the difference between awareness and observation. So if you're used to spiritual conversation where awareness is a word that people use a lot, what they're talking about there is this fundamental movement from your being. So in this moment, looking out of your eyes, listening to my words is awareness. You're always aware of something. There's always an awareness going on. This is actually a different movement than observation. Observation is a little more mental. It's this process by which the mind is grabbing onto some information. And this is less intimate and has more effort. And discerning the difference is valuable to begin with. And a lot of times we can't recognize, or we don't have a habit of recognizing the difference of awareness versus observation. And we think a lot of the time we're aware of something or we're connecting with something through awareness, but in fact, there's a whole lot of mental movement. And the way you can tell is the amount of effort you feel. Awareness is very, very effortless. I tell people all the time, if you were asleep in the middle of the night and somebody came in and laid beside you, you would be aware. You might not wake up. You might not remember it in the morning, but part of you would be aware. And what would be aware is your awareness, this aspect of your being. But clearly, asleep in the middle of the night is pretty effortless. So if there's this mental movement, which I'm calling observation, happening, there's some level of effort. There's a trying. So maybe in this moment you're really listening to me or you're trying to understand it. This is all coming from the mental movement, and you can relax it and soften it. And there's some awareness. So let's try this together. Start right now by just looking at the wall in front of you. And when you look at that wall in front of you, you're going to observe it. So what I want you to do is take all this mental movement and categorize and label. So you may notice the color or some lines or what it serves in the room, and allow yourself to observe this. Okay, let's try this now. So I want you to just close your eyes for a second and relax. Take a deep breath. And I want you to take a second and look at the wall again. And ask yourself, am I aware of the wall or am I the wall? Now, this might seem like an odd question. Are you the wall? Of course you're not the wall. Are you aware of the wall? Of course you are. Does it take any effort for you to be aware of that wall? Can you notice this subtle movement where it's completely effortless to be aware of the wall? Great. Now, turn your head and let's look at another wall. And I want you to, again, without observation, so without this labeling and categorizing and little extra effort with your mind, I want you to just notice the other wall with awareness. And I want you to just hang out here for a second. And really, with this effortlessness, keep relaxing and noticing that you're still aware of the wall. And as you're aware of the wall, you can actually begin to feel. Awareness is really intimate. You can start to feel the essences. You can sense things. Don't engage this mental energy to start to do that. Just simply feeling the wall. It's almost like a listening or something. Because awareness is light and effortless. Okay, great. So whether or not you discerned a difference, the pointer that I'm trying to point out is that when we're in the mind, there's some level of effort. When we're in pure awareness, it's really an effortless movement. And today, what I want you to practice over the next 12 hours is letting that awareness be aware of you. All of the inner movements inside of you. Sometimes you're bored, or you're tired, or you're anxious, or you're hungry, or you're mad, or you're frustrated. There's all kinds of feelings, sensations that are arising inside of you all day long. And what I'd like you to do is take your awareness and watch them. That's all I want you to do, is to be aware of that inner space. Most of the time we have a tremendous unconscious habit where we're blocking or repressing or hiding or avoiding these movements inside of us. So the first practice that we're going to do over the next 12 hours, that we're really going to try to notice each of these pieces that are arising. And that's all I want you to do. It'd be really great if in the next 24 hours you could take 2 15-minute sessions and just set the timer for 15 minutes and let your awareness be aware. Now you may suddenly hit the timer and there's nothing there. Great, you're aware of nothing here. Then you're aware of frustration because I'm supposed to be doing something here. Then you're aware of spiritualness, trying to come in and have right action and like whatever that internal movement is. So even that is something to be aware of. So for 2 15-minute sessions, try it. It would be really great though if you wanted to set one of those 15 minutes when you felt a whole lot of stuff churning inside. Maybe you're really frustrated or anxious or bored. Set the timer then and watch all of these movements. Now, something I want to remind you about is to not be afraid of those movements. Again, the habit is to distract and avoid, block. And what we want to do as we come into liberation is we want to come into our lives. We want to come into life. And guess what? All of these movements are life. And sometimes the mind thinks if I put my awareness on my frustration, it's going to grow and it's going to get so big and I'm going to start to indulge it. And actually that could very much happen, but it means you've left awareness and you've started to become identified and now you're starting to indulge it. And to be aware of something very similar to how you noticed you were not the wall, you were aware of the wall. You are not the frustration or the resentment, or the fear, or the anxiety. You are aware of it. And in being aware of it exactly the same way as you are aware of the wall, it gives you enough space to actually have some intimacy, to listen to it, to feel it, to sense an essence without getting hooked. So that's your practice. See how you do. And I'll meet you here tomorrow as we walk the next week together. I'm thrilled about this, and I'll see you tomorrow.